Welcome everybody. My name is Steven, aka The Wiz1 on YouTube, and this is another video for our Trading 101 series. We're going to be talking about volume profiles and volume distribution, daily volume distribution, weekly, multi-monthly volume distribution. There's all kinds of different ways to use volume profiles to help you not only figure out what the likely dealing range or area that you could expect price to move between, might also be an area where you might expect a battle where a breakout outside of a value range may occur. And what we're looking at here is a program called DeepCharts. It's available at deepcharts.com. You can also use volume profile in other applications. Give you an example. I don't currently have a top step evaluation, but we can still kind of take a look. So volume profiles are available. You can have a fixed range volume profile where you draw it from one spot to another and it's going to show you the distribution. So most applications have various ways to express volume. So whether you're a day trader, a swing trader, and a longer term investor, you can also have a volume profile fixed range. You can have a visible range volume profile as well that scales with the chart. Right, as you move the chart, it shows you the volume distribution that's visible. Any range, you can see over here on the right. So at the end of the day, it's just a way to show you where most of the volume has been traded in a certain time period. And that's pretty much it. So what I have here, we're going to start on a larger scale. So this is a 90-day volume profile. And on the right side, you can see this big volume distribution. And then each one of these smaller profiles is a daily profile. Now this is really busy, right? There's just a lot of lines and things. So I'm going to come over to this composite profile, because sometimes if you have too much on the chart, even with volume profiles, it becomes really noisy. You can definitely see some clear areas where the most volume has been traded, and some ledges and some little peaks and valleys, I guess would be another way of putting it. But we have all these lines on the inside, and they tend to be a little bit distracting. So we're going to remove some data, and see, that kind of cleans it up a little bit. And then we can do the same thing for the daily profiles. Come in and get rid of some of the peaks and valleys, and that just kind of cleans up the view for us a little bit. So focusing up on this 90-day composite profile. So what the profile on the right shows in this case is 3 months of tick-based data. So every single trade, it's not minute-based, it's every single trade that's happened on the buy and sell side shows up on this profile. And what we can see, I'm going to draw some lines here. The first thing is we have this really big area in the middle. And they're all ranges. There's no like perfect, right? So this really big range in the middle, this is where most of the volume has been traded over the last 90 days. If we scroll back, we're going to go even a little bit farther. And I'm going to show you something interesting. Sometimes in certain applications, as you scale it, a lot of the things change. So for this particular application, it may not apply and work the same way in all but what I like to do is have manual grouping and manual ticks 1. What that does is it basically controls it from shifting different key points. So if you do use DeepCharts, that's something that you want to make sure that you have set up even for your daily profiles. So we can see here is that this is basically where most of the volume has been traded. You can see as we were in this value range, and then we left it, then we came back to it after we had a failed auction to the upside, made all-time highs. We came back to it, tried to test back lower, likely to a previous value area that we don't have on this profile. And we could always change this and make it 6 months or a year. But for our purposes, we're going to stick with 90 days. And you can see we came back to value, tried to leave it again, rejected, came back to value again, tried to leave it again, rejected, came back, tested it, failed, and we went back into price discovery, likely coming back to a previous range of value. This might be a good example. So we're going to put a little line here, and then we're going to come over to let's go 6 months. And I'm going to do minute data because we're going so far back. It's just going to load a little faster. And so the biggest distribution where we had value in the past was right here. And look at that. We came back and tested that range, exactly the bottom of it, before rejecting back and returning to the previous range. So by looking for previous areas of value and places where price spent time, two-sided trade occurred, we can kind of start to have an idea of where the market might try to go. Okay, it doesn't mean we're going to be able to time it. You can see we have another area up here. We could probably call that a range. So it's not an exact location, but what we can see is we had trade up here for a couple days, came back down, retested it, bounced into the previous value area, came back up, retested it, then we opened up with a gap down. It came back up and tested it again and came down. Then we came back to the previous area and tested it, came back up. So volume profile is a really strong tool to kind of let you know what regime, being it a balanced market where price is just bouncing back and forth in fair value, or if it's trending in a direction. Now we'll go through, we've had a couple stints here where we had this really long trend up, right? Made a new all-time high. Then we pretty much worked our way all the way back down. This is an interesting one, right? We don't have any real value areas here, right? It didn't make it all the way down. And then it just ripped through to retest. Then we came back down again to the other side, retesting the bottom of this value area, and then bounced again. And then we had a nice little consolidation period, right, for multiple days back in this area before starting to make our way down to a previous value area before coming back up, testing this middle value area, and now it looks like we're making our way likely back up to test the value area up here, and likely guarantee maybe extend up a little bit higher before we work our way back down, maybe something like that. So So hopefully that gives you an idea. So once again, volume profile is essentially just where the distribution of all volume that has been traded for whatever time period you're looking at. And this is kind of a dynamic, man, these are real hard to click on when you're not zoomed into them. Don't want to see them anymore. Oh my God. Help. All right, so now let's zoom in. We're gonna zoom into what happened during the week. And let's see if there's any rhyme or reason why price may have done what it has done. And I'll show you a couple other cool tools that you can do in DeepCharts. So if we look at these blue lines that are inside of each daily volume profile, and keep in mind, these profiles that I have here are only for the cash session, the New York session. I could also include the overnight session. Okay, and that's going to add more profiles. Okay, but for now, most of the volume is traded during the cash session. So we're going to stick with that to keep it simple. So we'll start with this week right here. So we had 2 days where the red area is basically the value area. Most of the trading occurred within these two profiles. So these 2 days, August 7th, August 8th. Well, because they are boxed, the value areas are kind of within each other, we could merge them together to create one profile. Okay, you might be able to do it with this one too, right here. We could merge these together. It just makes things a little bit simpler to create one profile. And what we can see is we had a down day, then we made some progress and came back and tapped into the value area high of the previous day. It might look a little bit easier if I put the candles on here too. So we actually had an up day. Okay, that kind of helps. Then we came down and created a lower distribution, and then rejected up and came back to the point of control to retest. And we bounced around, tried to find some value, right? So price was trading between both parties fairly confidently here before we had another push down to retest the middle of this larger distribution, right? Then we basically closed and then opened up higher, just ranged around for a day. Then we extended strongly with a large impulse to a higher range of value, which is also an area where we spent a little bit of time trading back and forth. So logically, we might think that we can continue higher, or maybe we come back down again to test the middle of this distribution. All right, we got the value area here, the point of control that's in line with the 90-day point of control. And this kind of gives you things to look for during your trading week. You kind of have an idea of where price, what's the dealing range, where price can go, where has it been, where is it bouncing back and forth from. And we kind of call that a regime. All right, what is the market doing? Well, what we can see, even though you got all this back and forth bouncing through value areas, we are in an uptrend. And we've been in an uptrend. It's a little slow when you're loading so many profiles. A lot of data, especially tick-based data. So actually this is minute-based, but we had an uptrend and we had a pullback, and now we're basically retesting. So I expect a retest of the all-time high before the market makes its next move. And that just gives me a bias, something to look for. All right, now we're gonna take a look at a different chart. So I'm gonna close this out. I'm gonna open up a new chart. We're gonna open up NQ. It's gonna be a 5-minute chart. And then we're gonna add what's called a daily volume profile. Again, we're gonna make this New York session only, so we're filtering out the overnight data. And on the 5-minute chart, this is just what I like to use for daily trading. Okay, and you can see there's orange this time with yellow. So let's talk about something that I probably should have discussed in the last section. So this value area is set up to be 70% of all the volume traded in this orange area. You can see in some places it traded more than others. So it's a really most of the value traded in this area right here, or even more so here. It's whatever and however you want to determine that. What you can also do though is, in a lot of applications, is draw volume profiles from maybe swing lows to swing highs, or maybe swing high to swing low, or swing low to swing high. That's when we close for the day. All right. Or in the case where this is really the previous swing that we broke through, tapping back into about 50% of it. So there's no rules. You can use volume profile in any way that you'd like to use it. But what it does give you is very distinct boundaries on where price has been trading. And what that can help you do is spot better trade locations, keep you out of the middle here where you're just going to get chopped up. Can help you maybe do mean reversion trades back from an extreme to the middle. And it shows you areas where very little trade has occurred. Now, one thing I didn't mention, because this is a different profile, you're going to notice some purple and green. It's not the intent of this video, but that's basically, I'll do it on this. It's an aggressive buying and selling profile, so delta. So in DeepCharts, it makes it really easy to see where the aggressive buying and selling occurred. You can see at the bottom of this profile, we have a lot of purple, which is selling that occurred, that got absorbed by buyers who just pushed the price up. There's another set right here. And we'll do another video on aggressive delta. Then we can also see right here that lots of aggressive selling happening to push the price down. So when price comes back to this area, Are they still here? Maybe that's an area to start looking for a trade. You can see at the top here, there was a lot of green, so that's a lot of aggressive buying. So it got absorbed. Sellers just pushed the price right back down. So there's a lot of ways to use it, right? You got to find what works for you. There's no perfect answer, but it's a powerful tool to give you some guidance and direction on where the market may go. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the location below. Thank you for watching and hope to see you again. Good luck in your trading journey.